Hello and welcome back to Just Meg Elise, a podcast about healing, remembering who you are, and diving into deeper alignment. I'm Meg, and I'll be your host. So during today's episode, I want to talk about choosing peace over control, and also why that can be hard. If you're somebody who has, walked through anxiety, trauma, high-functioning burnout, that sort of thing, what happens when the thing that you think is going to give you peace is actually just control? And what if the real peace that you're craving is actually surrendering the control? When your nervous system has lived through chaos, inconsistency, trauma, control becomes a survival tool to help keep you safe, right? It helps us to feel like if I can control my environment, everything will be good, everything will be safe, I know what's coming, that sort of thing. And control, which we often don't see as control, but it can show up in so many different ways. It can show up in over-explaining, perfectionism. Oh my God, I'm such a perfectionist. I'm still working on that. Overthinking every text you send, every email you send, every interaction you have, even micromanaging your own emotions. And the truth is, we don't want to control everything. It's not like we think to ourselves, man, I would love to control every aspect of my life. It just happens that way. It just starts to unfold that way, right? It helps us a lot of times to feel safer. And I get that. I get that because I struggle with it myself. And sometimes releasing control can feel very unsafe. And that's not a flaw. It's a human response to have, especially if you've been through trauma and especially if you've been through complex trauma. So when I'm talking about surrender or peace, I'm really saying that we can trust that there is still safety in the unknown. Like every single experience that I've gone through where I was worried about what was going to happen or worried about what comes next, trying to control every aspect of every situation, it always works out. I mean, really think about your worst moments. In the end, it always works out. Sometimes it takes some struggle. Sometimes it takes some hard work to pull ourselves up. Maybe we lost our job or whatever it is. But those things always work out in the end. And oftentimes, at least for me, and tell me if you've experienced this as well, sometimes when something leaves my life and at first I just see it as such a loss and oh my God, I just lost that job or whatever it is, or I just lost that partner, and you're thinking it's just never going to get better, you're never going to find better. But honestly, what ends up coming in is often much better than what just left. So just like in last episode where I was talking about divine intervention, and I feel like our guides, the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it is you want to call that, is guiding us towards better things all the time, right? But often we don't see it as such because change can be scary. I remember a while back, I started to plan out my weekends and everything that I wanted to do on the weekends. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, like making a list of all the things you want to do around the house or the laundry you want to do. Those things can be helpful, especially for somebody like me who has ADHD. I need a list. I need a list to tell me what's next. But I was controlling too much of the day. I want to do this at this time. I don't want to do this at this time. I don't want to do this at this time. And when it didn't unfold like that, because it doesn't, things happen, I would get upset with myself. I set this unrealistic goal to meet. And then when I didn't meet it, I got upset with myself. And we do that all the time, not even thinking about it. And I realized later, I wasn't even enjoying my weekend. I was going through the motions. What's next on the list, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with a list. But when it's taking you away from the present, when it's taking you away from, truly experiencing what's going on in your present moment and the beauty in everyday moments, like walking outside, looking at the sky, loving on our pets, hugging our children, you know what I mean? Those things, enjoying a nice cup of tea, a nice cup of coffee, sitting in our favorite chair. Those are such small things, but they're not at the same time. Those are what ultimately bring the most joy into our life, truly being present and grateful in those small moments, and noticing those moments. That's all it takes. So back to my subject, in those weekends where I was scheduling everything out, and I wasn't really enjoying my weekend or enjoying my day, I was trying to make sure nothing was going wrong. I wanted to get all of these things done, so nothing can go wrong. This is how I fit it all in, That wasn't peace. And the most healing thing was me shifting the plan. It was when I sat down, I gave myself a moment, and I told myself, it's okay if things go off script. It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's okay if we're not controlling the entire day. And that was a nice shift back into peace, right? Back into flow and less control. So what if peace isn't something that you achieve through control, but instead something you allow by softening into the unknown, by softening into the moment, and by being okay with whatever comes in that moment, and being okay if we don't finish our full to-do list, being okay with those things. This also involves telling ourselves on a regular basis, you're doing a good job, you did your best today was a good day. Even if you did nothing, if you only had 40% to give because you're sick, because I know a ton of people are sick right now, if you gave 40% and you only had 40% to give, like you gave 100%. Most days we're giving our all, but we're so hard on ourselves. So that is a big piece of this. Like, yes, surrendering control and trying to lean more into peace, but also in that process, we have to be kinder to ourselves. We have to start to speak to ourselves in a loving manner, like a loving parent would. We've talked about this before, like they call it reparenting yourself. Speaking to yourself like you would your best friend, or speaking to yourself like a loving parent would speak to you, or a loving caregiver. Let's go back to that weekend example of mine. Let's say, my weekend came and I did 4 things on my to-do list, but my to-do list had 8 things, and then I start to become hard on myself because I didn't finish everything. Like if I was sitting in front of my friend and I told my friend the ridiculousness of that and that I'm being hard on myself, what would that friend tell me? That friend would probably say, Megan, are you serious? You have 4 things done on your list. Most people got none. You are way ahead of the game, but you're being too hard on yourself. Take those things that your friend would say to yourself and say them to yourself. It's so healing, and it's a huge piece of this. And the thing is too, like, as you start to try and release control of, the to-do lists and everything we have to get done, and controlling every aspect of everything, which, trust me, I am great at that. And I'm trying myself to release some of the reins and release some control. Peace at first feels unsafe. Like that is a big part of this, like, because our bodies are so used to bracing for what's coming next, or what we believe is coming next. So when stillness arises, when peace arises, there's almost like a fear trigger, like, oh no, what's going to happen now? I read a Brene Brown book, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. She said in there about we don't allow ourselves to feel happy sometimes because we're so afraid the second happiness comes, something bad is going to come. And it's like keeping us from ever feeling joy, from ever being in the moment, from ever being at peace. Like, of course, I hate saying this, but of course, shitty things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. We're going to lose people we love. We're going to change jobs. We're going to change partners. Like, things are going to happen. It's life. But not allowing yourself to feel joy in everyday moments while you're waiting for something else to happen, it's crazy. We have to start grasping at joy wherever we can find it, choosing peace and gratitude and love and presence wherever we can find it. So I say all of this to try and offer to you that you don't have to protect yourself through control anymore. It's okay to let go of the reins a little bit. It's okay to not get everything perfectly. But again, another piece of this is when we don't get things perfectly, when our to-do list isn't done, we start to speak to ourselves with kindness. We start to tell ourselves, it's okay, babe. You did great today. You got out of bed. I'm proud of you for that. Like complimenting yourself on everything that you do get done, on everything that you do endure, on everything that you are, on the person that you are, on the things that you've been through, and starting to recognize those more, starting to celebrate those more in ourselves, telling ourselves good things, positive things. I'm proud of you. I love you. We've talked about this before, and like the mirror therapy episode is an excellent one to go back to kind of talk about how you can start to tell yourself more positive things as you look in the mirror every morning, and things will start to shift. You'll start to feel less of a need to control every aspect in order to feel safe, because you'll feel safe on your own. Right? As you start to compliment yourself more, give yourself more love, give yourself more verbal or mental validation, speaking to yourself with kindness, things will start to shift. And you'll automatically start to feel more at peace with things, right? So I wanted to do a little grounding technique together. Wherever you are, I just want you to take a nice deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. I moved my mouth away so it wasn't super loud inside the microphone, but I want you to do it again. This time, I want you to raise your shoulders up, and when we exhale with the side, just allow the shoulders to drop back down. Okay, ready? So inhale, shoulders rise, and exhale, shoulders drop. And now place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and just say, I release the need for control. I am allowed to rest, even in the unknown. I release the need for control. I am allowed to rest, even in the unknown. And just feel your body soften in that moment. And also, you guys know I love journaling, so I wanted to offer a few journaling prompts on this subject. So here's the first one. So again, if you want, you can actually write these in your journal or write these on a Word document. There's so many different ways to journal, and journaling is so helpful. You can write it in a voice memo, or you can just think of your answer now as I'm reading these prompts. So here's the first one. What aspects of my life am I trying to control out of fear? What would choosing peace look like in this season of my life? Here's another one. When did I first learn that being in control meant being safe? Here's another one. And this is kind of based on when we try and control what others perceive of us, during perfectionism and over-explaining, that sort of thing. So here's the prompt. What might shift if I let go of needing to control others' perception of me? Because we can't control how other people perceive us. They're gonna perceive us how they perceive us. They're perceiving us through their own lens of what's happened in their life. It can be so many things. You could even look like somebody that they had an experience with in their life, and they're attaching that person's behavior to you. It could be so many things that you have no control over. So why try to control it in the first place? I get it, especially if you were in a chaotic environment when you were younger, you needed to control your environment in order to stay safe. I get that. So now we carry that mechanism with us into adulthood, and we're trying to control other people's perceptions of us without even realizing it, right? Because we think that that's going to keep us safe. And here's another. What is one small thing I can surrender this week, even if it feels a little uncomfortable? Here's the last one. Can I picture a version of myself who trusts even when the outcome is unknown? And what does that feel like? So you don't have to force peace to arrive. You can just invite it. And healing doesn't always look like ease. It sometimes just looks like softening our grip, softening our control, one moment at a time. So hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to go deeper on your healing journey, there are many different ways to connect, all of which will be linked below in the show description notes. You can pick up a copy of my book, Don't You Dare. It's available on Amazon. If you want to dive into the ego voice or shadow work, I think it's an excellent tool for that. I also have my Most Loved Meditation Bundle available for purchase. These are my highest rated meditations over the years. I have a course called the Affirmation Reset course. This course helps us to rewire negative and limiting beliefs, and again, you can access that through the link below. I also offer one-on-one coaching and hypnotherapy services. If you're interested in a session with me, please visit my website, meganshirey.com. I teach a free live guided meditation on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn every Sunday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific, so hopefully I'll see you there. You can also join us on Patreon for guided meditations, behind-the-scenes reflections, and a soft healing community space. I air a new episode every Wednesday at 8 Central, so please be sure to tune in for that. And if you like these episodes, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and please leave us a review. It helps us to reach more listeners. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be joyous and at ease, sending you infinite love and light, and until next time.